Hello, 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 everybody. This next session is titled, um, it is titled Natural Hair Myths, Setting the Record Straight. However, the speaker with us today is not Susan, is going to be Miss Diane. If you've been watching this live stream sessions throughout the day, my name is Osas Eweka Smith. I am the founder of the Edmonton Natural Hair Show, and you are watching the 2021 Virtual Natural Hair Show. And before we get started, I would just like to take a moment and say thank you to the Alberta Public Interest Research Group for supporting this year's event and making it happen. And now, how this is going to work right now is I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Diane to introduce herself. And as we go through the different myths, I'm going to be telling her what the myths are. And then she's going to be providing some context around whether or not they're true and the different ideas about them and so on and so forth. So that's how this is going to go. There you go, Diane.
Good afternoon, everyone, and blessings to all that have the opportunity to share with us this moment of something I'm really passionate about. And I want to make sure that the people who are passionate as I am, get the information that's needed. My name is Diane Carol Bailey. I am a master pioneer, a master stylist, a consultant, a brand ambassador, an advocate, and a true lover of natural hair. I love all things natural hair. So that's my mission. I am an author of 2 books, a teacher, and my next venture, I will be a consulting stylist for a dermatologist. So now we're going to be combining cosmetology and natural beauty together under one roof. So I'm going to be doing that starting the end of this month in New York City. So I want everyone to please have as many questions as you might want. No question is too small. No question is too simple. Ask it, and then we will evolve from there. And by the way, I'm in Brooklyn, New York. So just in case you wanted to know, I also have been doing hair for over 40 years, and I advocated for the natural hair license in New York State.
There you have it. All right, let's dive right in. So again, this session is about the different myths out there about natural hair, taking care of it, washing it, everything that has to do with natural hair. And what I'm also actually going to do is I'm going to pop each of the myths that we're going to debunk into the comment section so that people can see that. So myth number 1.
Yes.
Greasing your scalp is good or is a must for natural hair?
Absolutely not. This was, we took a lot of things to survive from slavery. And so part of greasing our scalp, we did not have many options on applying, beauty regimens to our hair. So we used what we had. And one of the things we had was lard, right? Which is a form of cow fat. So those behaviors from slavery kind of transcended into modern times. What we need for natural hair are simple oils, simple butters that help to make the hair elastic and to make it combable. But it is not required for you to put any kind of grease or butter on your scalp, unless you are directed by a doctor for medicinal purposes. For example, some oils have medicinal purposes. Eucalyptus oil, peppermint oil, spearmint oil, light oils that can go into the scalp and absorb into the skin can be beneficial for those people who have a dermatitis, which is like a dandruff or flaking, or for some people who want to stimulate the scalp to aid in the growth. It doesn't help it grow, but it kind of aids in allowing the hair to be stimulated in that way. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. The next one is, okay, this is quite a controversial myth, topic, I should say. So myth number 2 is LOC system. The LOC system method is the best way to moisturize your hair. So the liquid, oil, and cream system. What do you think about that? What do you say? How can we set the record straight?
Okay, well, I do not oppose it. It's not going to hurt your hair, right? Lotion, oil, cream, it's not going to hurt your hair. I prefer making a cocktail. I prefer putting the oil, the lotion, and cream in a spray bottle with some oil and spraying it in your hair on a daily basis or bi-daily basis just to hydrate the hair. Water is a component of LOC, so putting all those lotions and creams and butters in the water helps to transition that, and it gives the hair a nice light moisture coating versus applying creams and butters on your hair a lot. Now, when you're styling the hair, of course, you want to use some kind of cream, lotion, or butter for your twist, or if you're setting the hair on rods, you would want some type of holding component like a setting lotion or a mousse. So you have several options. But yes, LOC is a system that does work, but it is not the best way. There are other ways that you can add moisture to your hair and scalp without applying heavy creams and lotions on a daily basis.
Okay. The next myth number 3 is people believe that water dries out your hair, or that water would dry out natural hair. Is that true? Is that false? Is there a middle ground there?
Right. Okay. So a portion of it is true, that if you just put water in your hair, right, water evaporates, right, leaving no components of the element, right? It totally dissipates. That's why you want to add a cream or a lotion to your water, because just like a plant, water needs to be hydrated. There's a difference between hydration and moisture.
Yes.
Hydration is a water component, and the water component will evaporate. And once it evaporates, in the water should leave a component of moisture, which can come in the form of a butter, oil, or a cream. So it is not that water is not important. Water is very important to the existing of our natural hair. However, water evaporates. So what do you need after the water? You need a component like a cream or butter or an oil that's going to stay in and coat the shaft. So after the water leaves, you still have something that keeps it moist and supple and elastic.
Yeah, water alone is not a moisturizer.
Water alone is not a moisturizer. It's a hydrator. There's a difference between hydration and moisture and hydration. Water is a hydrator, right? But the creams and butters are the moisturizers.
So do not put water in your hair and feel like you've done all you need to do.
Well, no, put water in your hair, but add the moisture, add the cream, add the lotion, add the butters, add the oils to the water. Because when the water dries up, it's going to leave that coat of from the cream or the butters or the oil. So it's not it's not either or. It's a combination of.
Yeah, I'm saying that people should not put water in their hair and feel that they've done what all they needed to do, because they still need to put the other components in their hair, right?
Exactly,
to keep that moisture.
Exactly.
Just putting water in and going, you haven't done anything.
When it first started, people were just walking around with water bottles, spraying their hair, looking crazy. We were like, what in the world is going on? Well, of course, water is a component.
I'm really moisturizing for today.
I'm moisturizing my hair and she's walking in the street with her, No, you have to add something to the water because the water will evaporate.
So true. The next myth people that have come to the play is that trimming your hair regularly makes it grow longer.
Say this. That it's not wrong. It's not wrong, but it's not right either, right? So trimming your hair regularly, right, removes the weakest parts of your hair so that the hair can stay strong. That's what. You see? You see how you gotta, go around? You see how that works? So
I see what you did, yeah.
Remember, if you ever chip a nail, you ever have your nails done and you chip it, right? What do? You file it down to the chip so that you don't lose the whole nail, but you just file it down so that it's even. The same thing with trimming. You want to file the cuticle down. You want to make sure that the ends, or the split ends as they call them, are filed away. And how do you
just keep
exactly?
Right? Yeah.
And all you need to do is remove the split ends. You don't have to give it a big chop, but you do want on a regular basis, you do want to trim or file your ends. How often you want to do that? It depends on how fast your hair grows, but the average is every 3 months.
That's a good response of trying to have a middle ground in there.
Yes.
Okay, the next myth, I'm losing count of the numbers. I'm going to just stop in the numbers. So the next myth that people often have said is that washing your hair regularly, even once a week, is bad for your hair. You shouldn't wash natural hair that often.
Wow. Okay. I am a champion of less is more, and less is best, right? So you have to find what that best is. For me, my hair is very tightly coiled. I live in a city that's often very cold, so I don't shampoo my hair every week. I might shampoo in the summertime. I shampoo my hair every 2 weeks or every other week. And in the winter, I shampoo it maybe every 3 or 4 weeks. Why? Because it takes 72 hours, 3 days, for your hair to find its balance, its equine balance, right? Because the hair has alkaline in it and it needs to be balanced off. And that's when the hair is in its perfect space, right? So you want to shampoo your hair, depending on your lifestyle, depending on where you live. People in Florida who have 80-degree weather 300 days out of the year, they're going to shampoo their hair more, right, than you or I would in colder weather. It's just the heat and being active. You're going to sweat more. The sweat glands are more active. But I live in New York, so my sweat glands are not that active, right? So I'm going to shampoo my hair based on my activity. I say once a week is too much, but once a month is too little. So somewhere in the middle, every other week, every 14, 18 days, so forth like that. Every 3 weeks is good, but every week is not great. People are doing a lot of wash and goes, right? For people who do a lot of wash and goes, there are other alternatives to washing and going. Make your cocktail, refreshing your hair with your cocktails, lightly mist it, refreshing what you have in your hair, and allow your hair to kind of be in this cocoon of moisture before you shampoo it again. Because again, every time you shampoo it, the alkaline balance goes down. You want to keep it high to keep that moisture ratio high.
I'm going to move on to the next myth.
Okay.
And that myth is natural hair is hard to maintain.
Is that
The myth is natural hair is hard to maintain. What do you think about that comment?
Compared to what? Compared to not having Caucasian hair or no hair at all?
Just on a general level.
Okay, I would say this. I would say this, that natural hair, naturally textured hair, afro hair, kinky hair, curly hair, wavy hair is a gift that we've been given like no people else in this whole wide world. And I feel like our hair is a blessing, and I find it beautiful, and I don't find it hard to maintain. I do find it creative. I find it, I'm a hairstylist, so I find it a form of art. I find it a form of sexuality. I find it to be a form of embracing my culture. I find it a form of being a woman. I find it a form of being free. But I never, ever thought that working with my hair was hard. That notion of hard is based on some concept of European concept of thinking that our hair has been challenged. That's, to me, is ludicrous, and it has no place in our thought pattern at all. I do not find our hair hard. I found our hair extensively artistic, like clay. It could be molded, it could be coiffed, it could be colored, it could be, to me, like, I've been in the industry so long, I've seen hair from, on women of color, all from all lengths and all shapes and sizes. And not one would I say I found hard. The ones I found the most challenging were the ones where the client didn't appreciate the texture. And so when you say hard, that tells me that some people might feel that there's no value in the textured hair. And to me, it is beautiful. It is our culture. It is art. It's everything. So I want to move that myth away. Just put that in the garbage. Don't ever think about it again.
That's why we're here, right? Doing this right now.
Yes.
The next myth is that some people might feel and believe, some people believe that natural hair doesn't grow and it can't get long, especially past that shoulder length plateau that we often suffer, that often happens to people.
Okay, so what is this notion that your hair has to be shoulder length? Like, why does your hair have to be shoulder length? Like, who's going around telling you that if your hair is not shoulder length, you are not, you're not beautiful? If you want shoulder length hair, you can buy it anytime, right? If hair grows based on your genetic making. If there are people in your family genetically programmed to have shoulder length hair, then they will have shoulder length hair. But in my family, and in most of our families, we don't have the DNA that says that kinky, curly, coily hair is going to be down our shoulders and down our backs. Some people are blessed to have that in their DNA. Most of us are not. So the thing is, if you want longer hair, the key to longer hair is the hair care. If you can have healthy, longer hair, and I've seen a lot of people do it with the chaby powder and the car oil, and it's the hair really flourishes with these powders and oil mixture. A lot of women from Africa use it. So there are things out there to add length. But if it's not in your DNA, if your mama and your daddy didn't have long hair, or your grandmother didn't have long hair, then more than likely you won't either. But you can have healthy hair. You can have beautiful hair. You can have hair that's, that's amazing, but it might not be, down your back because it's not a part of your DNA.
Why do you think when people say that You can repair split ends with the right products.
What do I say when what?
Some people
Split ends.
that sorry?
I see the split ends.
You can repair split ends with the right products.
Okay, so that's an illusion. Just like many illusions we have around hair repair, or once the bonds are broken, bonds cannot be mended back together. But what they can do, right, they cannot be mended, but what you can find are products that seal the cuticle or the top layer of the shaft, the hair shaft, enough to give it the smoothness and the elasticity to appear like it's repaired. But it is not necessarily repaired, it is just covered. The same thing with split ends. Split ends cannot be repaired. They're either split or they're not. What they can do is they have products that seal in the ends. The best way to get rid of split ends is the same way you get rid of a chipped nail. How do you get rid of a chipped nail? You file it, right? Or what I call filing, or we call giving a trim. The same way with split ends. You would have to trim your ends in order to totally remove the split ends. But there are products out there that do seal for a period of time. They do seal, and they do help to reduce the effects of split ends.
It is the effects. Well put. The next myth that has come our way is that air drying, air drying your hair is the absolute best way to dry your hair.
I love air drying. I do. I love air drying, but it's not necessarily the best way depending on where you live. Again, if you live in a warm climate, right, with a lot of sun, a lot of warm air around, then of course, drying it naturally would be your first go. But if you live in a cool climate like I do, or like you do, then air drying might be problematic, especially in the wintertime. What I suggest and what I recommend to my clients is to dry it 80%. Go under the dryer and take out as much moisture up to 80%, and you'll feel it. You'll feel the hair, you'll touch it, and it still be a little damp, and then let it go naturally. Do not suck out all the moisture that you just put in by dry heating it to 100%. Dry it enough so that you can be mobile, but then allow it to dry naturally on its own, because what you're trying to do is keep as much moisture in the hair as possible. And and air dryers can extract some of that. So do it to about 70, 80%, and then allow the rest of it to dry naturally.
Why do you say to people who believe that you have to switch out your products because over time they'll stop working after a while?
That's true. I mean, like anything, if you keep using the same products, they will have less effect. But also too, if you're really committed to the product, you can always clarify your hair. Get a clarifying shampoo, clarify your hair, which means totally remove any buildup on the hair and scalp and refreshen your hair. And then if you really love that product, then by you clarifying your hair, you will be able to see the benefits of that product again. Some people just feel that after a while, a product doesn't serve its purpose anymore. It's like almost like your hair has immunity to it. But that's not true. That's not true at all. But if you want to change your product, just do a clarification, clarify it, and you can stay with your same product, or you can go to a new product. But there are some products that do leave a residue, and do leave a buildup. And if you want to really cleanse it so you can start fresh, use a clarifying shampoo.
I do agree with you. The best way to find out if your product is working to its best is to start from scratch that clarification of your hair and start using the product. Because if you are layering the product on top of other products and something is not working, then how do you know what is not working and why your hair is behaving the way that it is?
Exactly. And the thing is this, we are bombarded every day with new options for hair care. And people are very inquisitive about trying new things, and I totally get it. But clarify your hair first. Really remove any debris or creams or oils or lotions before you start another regime or another hair care system, because you do not want to combine something old with something brand new, because you're not going to really get the best effect. So clarify.
Yeah. Because our hair is coarse, natural hair can be coarse, and people believe that it's very strong. It's stronger than any other hair types and every other hair types out there. What do you say to that?
I feel it's just the opposite. Our hair is very vulnerable, very fragile, very vulnerable to bad behavior. Your hair is very sensitive to weather. Your hair is very sensitive to your bodies and your internal systems, what you eat. Your hair is very sensitive to stress. We have alopecia areata. If you have a high stress level, the hair falls out. Our hair is very, very sensitive after pregnancy, postpartum pregnancy, after the baby. Exactly. Your hormones are inflamed and something happens, and it's a whole science to it that we need to think about. The hair is the barometer a lot of times of our health. People who have thyroid conditions, people who have lupus, all these things are barometers, and our hair is often a part of that whole system of health. And we can use our hair to guide us to health. We can use our hair, like I noticed my hair started getting thin right after my father passed away, because I had drama, I had trauma, and I had stress in my life, and my hair took it on, and I had a small patch of hair about the size of a small, quarter, and if I didn't address it right away, it would have gotten bigger. So our hair is strong. However, the body is the root of how our hair can be really even healthier. So my thing is to embrace not just topical creams, but also what you put inside your body, how you manage your stress, how you manage your exercise, how you manage your life, and it will tell in your hair.
Very well said. Yeah, because we often focus too much on what we put on the surface, like the surface of our skin, the surface of our hair, but not what we put in our mouth, like the liquids we drink. Are you drinking water 80% of the time throughout the day, or are you drinking something sweet with sugar, artificial sugar, 80% of the time throughout the day? Are you eating greens and healthy? Or are you eating junk food and processed foods, right? So all of that does affect our hair. The next myth is, this one's laughable to me. All of them are funny. Natural hair can't be combed.
Wow, I have never in my life heard that. Wow, so natural hair cannot be combed. Okay, so
there are people that literally, they feel that, they have broken combs, and it's like maybe they don't have the right tools, the right comb, or they're using it differently, but that mindset is out there, right? So let's set the record straight.
So we're going to set the record straight, okay? And I want people to take out your pens and your paper because we're going in. We're going in. I'm sick and tired of these stories now. We're going in. Okay. Natural hair, whether it's coily, kinky, wavy, combinations, I don't care, is combable, brushable, manageable, stylable. However, the tools you use will determine the efficiency of how you comb your hair. So if you buy a comb that's meant for fine hair, how well do you think that's going to work? You have to get the right tools. Number one, as I said before you comb your hair, you should get your cocktail or some type of leave-in conditioner. Do not comb your hair dry. Write it down. Do not comb your hair dry. Always put something in your hair before you apply a comb or brush, whether it's an oil, a pomade, a lotion, or a spray. I prefer a spray because spray always has a component of water and it allows a little bit more slip. So I put in my water, maybe a couple of drops of oil and whatever leave-in conditioner cream that I want, and I make a cocktail. It looks kind of like milk. And so I would apply it to the ends. Do not apply the comb to the root. You go to the ends and you go up the shaft until you get to the root, section by section by section by section. Now I know you've seen other women with fine straight hair just go through their hair like Cinderella waiting for the prince. Okay, let me just say, Cinderella is a story. You are real. You cannot just take a brush or a comb and go through your hair like Cinderella. You have to take the ends, start at the ends and work your way up to the scalp. And when you finish that section, twist it and then go to the next section. So there is a system, there is an approach to this hair care. If you want bountiful, healthy hair, you have to be strategic, but you also have to be gentle because our hair is fragile and it does not take a lot of abuse. If you abuse it, it will tell you and you will not be too happy. So long hair, when you see someone that has long hair and their hair is a tight coil or kink, it's because they have mastered taking care of it. I'm glad people are laughing. People are thinking that, I'm naturally 120. Thank you. So I'm glad you like it. I hope people are taking notes because this is, an opportunity for them to correct whatever errors that they have. So ask me what you need.
Sounds good. Way to put it nicely. This one is quite interesting. Well, they all are interesting. What is your thought about this? That some products are for black hair only, and other products are not. True or false? In between. Thoughts.
I don't say black and white. Okay, I don't say black and white. There are ranges of hair types. There are thousands and thousands of combinations of hair types, right? And so those hair types now have a vast option of choices that they can make, whether they're Asian, Indian, black, or white. These ranges do not have an ethnic component to it. It only has an ethnic component to it if that's what you make it so. Obviously, there are some products that have more butters and oils that are specifically made for hair of our hair type. Remember, we just started having products that are totally addressing our needs. When I started doing hair in the 1980s, we had to make up our own concoctions. We went to the health food store and we made our own butters and creams and oils, and we brought them back and we applied them to the hair and scalp. Now you have so many choices, but I don't think products come for black hair or white hair. I think products come based on the hair types and textures. If they happen to be on a white person, fine. But I know there are black people with straight, fine hair, right? And I also know white people that have curly, wavy hair. And they use different products based on the hair type and texture and not based on their race.
Well put. This one is a big one in the natural hair community. The hair strand in a cup of water test will tell you the porosity of your hair. What have you to say about that?
You know, some of this stuff is so funny sometimes. Okay, so a few years ago, I don't know who made this up, you know, this hair porosity thing. This is the thing. When we talk about, as a hairstylist, when we talk about hair porosity, we're talking about it because we want to process hair color, right? So we want to see how fast will the hair absorb this color based on proportions of it being either bleached or, you know, dyed, or so that's what the porosity was really about. How fast does moisture go in and how fast does it leave? And so most hair, you know, is porous on some level. Then there are hair that is a little bit, the cuticles are closed. So when they say the hair is porous, that means the cuticle is open enough to receive the moisture, and then you seal it in with a conditioner. When they say hair has low porosity, that's what so when hair has high porosity, that means the cuticle is open even larger. So it's just the speed of how hair absorbs moisture. So when they say the hair strand, whether the hair is porous or not, you would have to take it from different areas, because the hair might be porous here and not porous here, and then you might have another texture here. So just to pull out one strand of hair and wait for it to float really doesn't give you much information about how your hair absorbs, because you might have different hair porosities throughout the head. It's really a measure of how fast color is absorbed or not.
Thank you for that. This one is a little sad. It talks about that relaxing your hair means you don't love yourself, or you think black hair is bad.
Aww.
No, sadly, believe it. Yeah, people, I've heard this actually before in conversations, and people saying it to one another or expressing that. So and so person feels that way. Definitely, I've come across this. What do you say about that? Have you come across this in your practice or in your personal experience?
I say that relaxing your hair has always been the standard of beauty that was mandatory in our culture, right? That standard of beauty of having straight Caucasian hair, or having hair that is as closely to Caucasian as possible, was the standard around the world. Around the world. And then we realized, well, we knew all along that you cannot keep using a chemical in your hair and stay healthy. Women of color have the highest rate of fibroids, a high rate of cancer, a high rate of other diseases and disorders. And part of it is because we use relaxers that have carcinogens in them. And carcinogens are the elements that lead to cancer. So relaxing your hair doesn't mean you don't love yourself. Relaxing your hair means that you don't understand that you're putting something toxic on your body. It's almost like people who smoke cigarettes. Until they made a correlation between cigarettes and cancer, everyone smokes cigarettes. Now we realize that cancer and cigarettes are totally conjoined. So that's when people said, I don't want to die of cancer, I'm going to stop smoking. The reason why you want to stop relaxing your hair is because you want to live a healthy life. Natural hair is about beauty inside and outside, right? It's about the wellness. It's about health. It's about minimizing your exposure to toxins that might kill you and your family. Okay, so natural hair doesn't mean, or relaxed hair doesn't mean you don't love yourself. You can still love yourself and have a relaxer. But do you want to stay healthy? Do you want your babies and everybody in your family to be exposed? One of the reasons why I stopped working with chemicals a long time ago, because I opened a jar of relaxer and these fumes came out. These toxic fumes came out and it made me nauseous. The smell of it made my stomach nauseous. And you know what I said? I said, this is my last relaxer. I'm not doing any more relaxers because whatever's in that jar is trying to hurt me. And that's when I went totally natural. So you're trying to diminish your exposure to chemicals. You're trying to diminish yourself to things that are going to lead for bad health. And you want to elevate the things that are going to keep you healthy and whole. And natural hair will be one of them.
All said. What do you say to comments that natural hair is about being political or making a statement, making a point?
Well, in the 60s and the 70s, it was part of the Black Power movement. It became anonymous. Afros became synonymous to freedom and liberation in the United States and all across the world. It was a symbol of Black power. It was a symbol of culture and art and our music and everything, right? And so now we have revisited it again in another generation. And it has become political. It has become sexual. It has become a human right as a Black person. You have the human right to be as human as possible, and you don't have to change. Now we're working on something called the Crown Act, right? Creating a real world that accepts natural hair. And that is because we have been denied the right to be ourselves. This is how we were born. This is just like our skin is brown, our hair is curly. So that whole thing comes together as one to make us human beings. We are human beings, and we have the right to live ourselves as we were born to be. And so natural hair has become political. Natural hair has become a platform for civil rights and racial discrimination. Because if a person discriminates based on your hair texture is race. That's what the whole piece is now. It's not like just skin is race. No. Hair is race. So now we understand it. And now people, state by state, we still haven't done it in the US. It hasn't gone to the federal level yet. But now we understand that if a person gets a job and gets hired with braids, right, that is their cultural right. They cannot refuse you that job, and they cannot fire you because of that in some states. It hasn't gone throughout the whole country yet, but we're working on it. So yes, hair is politics. It has always been politics.
Sadly so. And we have time for one more question or one more debunking to do. And that is natural hair. If you're natural, if you wear your hair natural, that means you're vegan.
No, it doesn't mean you're vegan. However, I understand the correlation between people who go natural and people who are vegan, and people who are vegetarian, and people who are making different dietary choices because they want to minimize their exposure to chemicals, whether the chemicals are being put in their bodies through food, alcohol, water, coffee, whatever it is. They want to minimize their exposure to chemicals. And so chemical-free hairstyles, natural hairstyles, and because someone even said, isn't straightening your hair with a blow dryer and the hot comb to make your hair straight, isn't that natural? Aha, it is chemically free, but it is not natural. Chemically free is a choice, right? Yeah. But it is not natural. Natural is to wear your hair as it grows out without kind of altering it with heat or chemicals. So let's just be clear. So there is this huge option people have with natural. You can wear your hair locks, you can wear your hair braided, twisted, coiled, afro. There's so many choices. It's almost unlimited, the combinations of things you can do. So don't get bored with yourself. Just change how you feel about your hair by changing the style.
Beautifully. Well said. Well said. And yeah, there is that correlation to that. I find in my network, when people begin to go natural, wear their hair natural, they're also more conscious about what they put on their skin and what they put in their body. Maybe that's where that whole idea comes from, that people who wear their hair natural are vegetarians or vegans and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's a consciousness. I've been natural most of my life. I have been a vegetarian, but I eat. But I have. But then I was like, okay, I need some fish. I need fried chicken. Every now and then I just need a burger. So these options are here for us. And of course, I do know people who are natural, who are totally other extreme, who are total vegans, totally going, the whole thing. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm a moderate. And so, but I am passionate, clearly passionate about natural hair.
Lovely. And that passion has come through today for sure in our conversation.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time. It looks like we have run out of time before the next session continues or starts. And I just want to check. I don't think I've noticed any questions or anything from anybody.
I just wanted to say to people, if they have the opportunity to go onto, they can go to Amazon.com and get it. Some of the herbs and some of the mixtures of potions that are in the book. We talk about the science, the art, and there's some hairstyling tips in there as well. Go get the book from a lady publishing, Diane C. Bailey, Natural Hair and Braiding book. It is a pleasure. It was a delight. I am honored. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us. Have a good rest of the day.
You too. Blessings. Bye, everyone.